Hey guys, it's Brett Williams from BretFX.com here to run you through a little overview of how to use splits in your productions. Splits is a set of 40 customizable effect templates used to create animated split screen layouts. Using splits is as simple as applying a template to multiple layers on your timeline, choosing position presets, and making custom adjustments. It's designed and intended for 16:9 projects and media, but we'll also take a look at using vertical or wider source media in your layouts. In this first example, I'm going to recreate this mosaic layout that you saw in the trailer. As you can see, 4 different screens slide in, offset a little bit in a clockwise direction. So the first thing I'm going to do is start off with the caret there and drag that to the timeline. And we're going to go over here to the effects browser and find underneath BretFX Splitz the Mosaic 4B template. We're going to start with that one. And once you've applied it, you'll see over in the inspector that you've got some global controls here up at the top, and the first choice is the position preset. This little slider here is going to determine which pane, there's 4 of them in this template, that your image resides in. And if we look back at our original template, let's see, the caret is pane number 3. You can also enter the number directly here. And the next control down here is our animation controls. We've got about 9 different presets, from none, of course, fade in, slide right. We can take a look at each one of these. Slide right will slide it into position. Slide left, of course, will slide left. Slide down. And slide up. And I think slide up is the one we're going to use for this example. Let's take a look at the others. Zoom, that just kind of scales it up, but with a nice smooth motion. Overshoot scales it up and misses and bounces back. And flip Y flips it in with kind of an overshoot effect on the Y-axis. And the same thing with flip X. All right, so let's set that at slide up. And at the end, I have them all zoom out. So we have the same reverse choices for animate out. That's your third control here. And so I will just choose zoom. In each template, you'll find some other controls after the animation controls, like rotation, maybe shear to kind of give it a skew. Let's undo each one of those. These are customizable controls that I don't really recommend using unless it's just something specific and custom that you want to use. So for this one, the only 2 that you can add is rotation and shear. And we're not going to mess with those because we want it to look just like the layout down here in the effects browser. And in, of course, our demo example. Moving on down, if you've got the effect selected in the inspector here, you can now use the on-screen controls. And the on-screen controls are for controlling the source, which you see right here as the next section below global. You can control the same thing here in the inspector with sliders and numbers and rotation wheels, or you can control them all with the on-screen controls. But sometimes, if you're doing something really crazy, the control might be off the screen or something like that, and you need to use the inspector controls. Let's reset those. I think this caret maybe should be a little bit bigger though, and kind of move it over here. Yeah, let's move it over to the right even a little more so it's on the screen longer. Okay, I like that. Beyond position, size, and rotation of your source image, you can also tint it any color you wish. It just takes on shades of the color you choose here in this color swatch. Border is pretty self-explanatory. You can turn it on or off with this little checkbox. Control the color right here. I'm going to click on the eyedropper and grab maybe some of this orange off the carrot. And I think I need it to be a little wider. So I'm going to enter 30 instead of 15. That looks good. And moving on down here, you have the background section. We're going to talk about this stuff in the next example. All right, so let's move on and add our tomato. We're going to drag the same template, Splitz Mosaic 4B, to our tomato. And then go back up here to the inspector and choose our position preset. We want the one that's the bottom right corner. And let's see, we said we wanted this to slide left. And we want it to zoom out. We're not going to play with the rotation and shear. I think we can make it a little bit bigger. Use our source controls here, our on-screen controls. And once again with the border, I think I'm going to grab a color from the scene. Maybe some of this tomato's orange. That looks good. And once again, I'm going to make the border a little bit bigger. Okay, that should do it for our tomato. Let's pull it over here to where it starts at the same time for now. And what's next? Let's grab our couple. Actually, I guess that might be an employee and an employee. Or maybe just a customer. Okay, so let's drag our template on there again. Up in the inspector, pick position 2. And look here, as you can see, there is a little bit of a gap. The template's not quite lining up. This is because, I'm going to go ahead and delete the effect. This is because, I don't know if you can see this little bit of a black edge here. This is an actual 2K clip. It doesn't quite, it's like a 17:9 clip. And so if something is wider than the frame, we need to go down here in the inspector to its spatial conform properties and choose fill instead of fit. And when I select fill here, you're going to see it fill the frame. And now when I apply this template, and we choose position 2 again, you'll see that all the corners and the gaps all line up like they should. If you have an image that's extra wide, or maybe a photograph that's really wide, something that's wider than 16:9, Splitz is designed to work as a 16:9 project pretty much with 16:9 materials. But if it's wider than 16:9, like this is actual 2K, which is 17:9, just make sure you have spatial conform set to fill. And this one, I'm going to scroll back up here. We need to choose slide down as the in animation. And for the out animation, we'll choose zoom again. Moving down to our border, let's grab some of that green. That'll work. Yep. And let's make it 30 wide again. Let's take a look. Okay, everything's sliding in good. And now let's grab the girl with the tomatoes. I'm going to grab that mosaic template again, drag it on there. And of course it's in position 1. Let's use the on-screen controls to slide her up. And you can also see she is a 2K clip, so she needs her spatial conform set to fill as well. And you'll see it pops into place. And let's set her animation in to slide right, and her animate out to zoom like everybody else. Give her border some color. How about a lighter green? Let's see what we can find in here. That'll work. All right, so we've successfully created a mosaic layout with 4 different clips. You know, I think this couple over here could be a little bigger. A lot of wasted space there. Scrub through that. Yep, that all looks pretty good. Now what I'd like to do is offset the start point of each one of these so that our girl slides in first, then the couple, sort of in a clockwise rotation here. So I think what I'm going to do is offset everything by about, say 5 frames. So I'll select all 3 of these, which they're all lined up at the start here, and press the comma, I guess it's the left caret, the less than sign, to nudge these all back about 5 frames. Okay, so that's got the tomato coming in 5 frames before the carrots. Deselect everything and select the girl and the couple, and we'll nudge this back about 5 frames. And then finally, nudge the girl back 5 frames. But they aren't all zooming away at the same time, are they? So we'll just trim these up. I think it looks pretty good. All right, so for the next example, let's take a look at this office scene here. Sort of like your online conference or meeting. In this one, we have our host here with the microphone. And this is Carl here in IT. He likes his space background. So he's using one of those drop zone backgrounds we talked about. We're going to show you how to do that. And this is Jim. He's not paying much attention. He's got a solid background. I don't know who this is. Cynthia. She's not happy. She's not happy at all. Anyway, so let's take a look how we can recreate this. Let's start with the first person to pop on, our host up here in the corner. Let's go to our office footage, and we'll drag her to the timeline. And I have this Splitz 2x2 template. Going to drag that on to our first office worker. Looks pretty good where she is. We can make it a little bit bigger. And I believe we are going to have them overshoot in. And I'm not going to worry about the animate out here. Okay, that looks good. Who's next? Next. This is Carl. He's in IT, and he wants his outer space background. And you can see he was shot on green screen. So the first thing we really need to do is to key out the green. Let's go find the Apple Chroma key here. Drag it onto Carl here. And the default settings worked pretty good. So let's go back to BretFX Splitz. I'm going to close this up, get a little more room. And we'll put that 2x2 template on Carl now after we've done the chroma key. Go up to the inspector and change his position. Yep, to the second position here. So he now has a transparent background. So let's go down here to these background controls that I promised that we'd go over in this example. For him, we're going to choose drop zone. And you'll see the arrows back there, the little drop zone behind him now. If you click on this arrow here in the inspector, the drop zone well, you'll get sort of the drop zone preview window. And we can go over here to our footage. And wherever you click here is going to be the start of what's used in the drop zone well. So I'm going to click kind of toward the beginning of this outer space footage. And you can see it kind of previewed behind him here. And now I want to click this button, Apply Clip. And there we go. Carl's got his outer space footage. I think now we can slide him over to the right a little bit. So let's do that. And down here below the drop zone in the inspector, we also have some controls for the position of the drop zone. So we can move it over to the left a little bit. We can maybe scale it up a little bit. That looks pretty good. You could even rotate it if you needed to. Let's undo that though. That looks good. Okay, so let's find Jim here. Jim's not paying attention. He's on his phone, but he has an alpha channel built in, some stock footage with an alpha channel already, as you can see. So we don't need to key him out. We're just going to apply this 2x2 template to him as well. And over in the inspector, choose position 3. He's a little small compared to these guys, so we'll make him a little bigger. Make sure we can see his phone. And we'll choose that same overshoot as the in animation. And down here in our background controls again, we are going to choose color. And right underneath, we have this little color swatch. I'm going to go ahead and choose that blue. So let's see what we've got. Yep. They're all kind of overshooting in. That don't quite have the timing right there yet. But we need one more. Let's grab this office worker. She says no. She doesn't look really happy. We're going to grab her and put her in the 4th position. So drag her to the timeline. Apply the 2x2 preset. And once again in the inspector, we'll just slide this over to position 4 and choose the overshoot animated. She's definitely too small. Let's make her a little bigger. And so now we've got them all in position and all overshooting in. We don't quite have the timing right. I'm going to drag them to be all lined up at the start here. And that way, let's see, her on the bottom is coming in first. So let's go ahead and select these 3, and I'm going to nudge them to the right using the period key, you know, the right caret, or the, I guess it's the greater than sign. 2, 3, I don't know, 4 frames? Sure. So that has slid all 3 of these over 4 frames. Now I'm just going to select these 2, slide them over 4 frames. So I'm getting kind of a stair-stepped offset. And then the very last worker, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see how that looks. All right, so let's go ahead and line these up in the end as well, just to make it look nice. All right, so let's take a look at how that turned out. All right, Jim is not paying attention. Carl thinks it's funny, and no, Cynthia is not in agreement at all. But I like it. It looks good. Okay, so the last thing I'd like to address is what do you do if you have a vertical video clip? Splitz is not really designed for vertical video or wider than 16:9 video, but like we showed you in the previous example, 17:9 or full 2K or even wider can be addressed by using the fill spatial conform method. But if something is taller than it is wide, like a vertical video or a still photo, you need, let's go ahead and delete Cynthia here, and you need to compound the clip first to set its aspect ratio as 16:9. That's the best method I've found. So I've got this little girl here playing ukulele. We're going to drag her in. She is definitely vertical video. If I were to apply straightforward the Splitz 2x2 template, she kind of disappears. And let's make her position preset 4. Yeah, so you see here where the on-screen controls are. This is where she should be. If you scale it up, you'll see she kind of peeks out from behind. I don't know. It's just very confused because it applies it as a ratio of the actual frame size. So if it's not the same as the project, then all kinds of chaos ensues. So what we're going to do is delete our Splitz 2x2 and select our ukuleleist, is that a word? And press Option G to make a compound clip. I'll call her ukulele girl. All right. And so now if I press Shift T to look at my transform wireframe here, you can see that she has transparency on the left and right, but she's now a 16:9 clip. We'll undo that and turn off the wireframe. And so now we can apply our Splitz template, the 2x2 template. And there she is in position 1, but we're going to put her in position 4. And of course she's small, so we'll need to scale her up here. And let's give her that same overshoot. Okay, so let's take a look at how we ended up. That looks pretty good. And so that's how you would address vertical video in these templates. Some templates, it might work okay, but most of the time, the easiest thing to do is if you have a vertical video, go ahead and make it a compound clip. You can also do that with the stuff that's wider than 16 by 9, make it a compound clip. The wider ones, it's easier. You can just do a spatial conform of fill. All right, well, that's about it. Thanks, guys. I hope this helps. Hope you're enjoying splits, and check out more at BretFX.com, tutorials over my YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe over there and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Happy editing. Have a great day.